Welcome to Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda. We are fast approaching St. Patrick's Day, Ireland's national day. And of course, Patrick, it's not just that he brought Christianity to Ireland, but he founded a Celtic church, a church that went on to have an incredible influence across Europe and even across the world compared to the tiny size of this little country. And I want to talk over these next few days about some of those that worked alongside Patrick. And today we're looking at Brendan the Voyager. Brendan was one of the 12 men who became known as the 12 Apostles of Ireland. And he was an evangelist. He was after Patrick. Brendan was born about 25 years after St. Patrick's death. And Brendan lived to be over 90 years of age. And he was an evangelist. He loved to travel to share the gospel, not just in Ireland, but going over to England and Wales and Scotland and to the Aran Islands and places like that to found a monastery there. Basically, Brendan loved to travel and to share the gospel. Now, his most famous voyage is a great voyage that he undertook towards the end of his lifetime. And it is believed that Brendan traveled all the way to America. Of course, we're talking now, we're talking like nearly 1,000 years before Christopher Columbus made it to America. But for a long time, people looked at some of the things that were recorded about Brendan's journey to America and back, and it was supposed to be, well, this couldn't possibly be true. This must be fanciful. It must be legend, because he spoke about an island that was the island of hell, where he said, great demons threw down lumps of fiery slag from an island with rivers of golden fire. Now, actually, having seen volcanic eruptions on islands taking around Iceland, it's quite possible that Brendan saw a volcanic eruption on an island somewhere near Iceland. And he also spoke about great crystal pillars that floated in the sea. And of course, to his contemporaries, these would have sounded like absolute fanciful stories. But if you've ever seen icebergs, I will never forget on one of my first trips, I think it was the first time I ever traveled to the United States. I flew from Belfast initially to Toronto. And I remember as we were crossing over the Atlantic, the pilot made an announcement, said, if you look out the right-hand side of the plane, he said, you will see something called the iceberg factory, where the glaciers of Greenland come down and they break off into the sea and form these icebergs. And yes, they looked like crystal pillars floating in the sea. Now, is it true? Did Brendan really make it to America or not? Well, scholars disagree about that. The Vikings believe that he did. Whenever the Vikings themselves made it to America around about 1000 AD, their settlement there, which they called it Vinland, and to the south of Vinland, the lands there, they called them Greater Ireland. And we do know there have been quite a number of occasions of an ancient Celtic script called Ogham script, that Brendan would certainly have been familiar with, and there have been quite a number of examples of this Celtic script found in different parts of the United States, dating back long before Christopher Columbus. So somehow this Celtic system of writing made it to North America centuries before Columbus supposedly discovered America. Now, one great thing about Brendan is people said that his voyage was impossible, that you couldn't travel in a boat made simply of animal hides for such a distance. But more recently, an explorer actually reduplicated the feat and showed that it could be done. Now, whether Brendan really made it to America or not, one thing I know is this, that when we have a passion to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, God will take us places that seemed unimaginable to us. I've had the privilege in my own life in sharing Jesus and talking about Jesus. God's taken me to countries I never imagined ever that I would visit as a young man. But God has taken me there. And I want to tell you this, that if you will give your life to Jesus and if you will commit yourself to sharing his love with other people, God will take you places that you never dreamed were possible. I pray that today God will use you to share his love. And join us again next time for another Take 5, your 5-minute inspirational message from Solid Rock Drogheda.